Welcome back, everyone, to the KDL. We are continuing our Week 2 broadcast here. We just wrapped up a team match between KWANGDONGFREECS and Desperado. We move right on to another one as we introduce one of our two amateur teams. It's going to be Always entering the stage.
Yeah, battle of the amateur teams right now. We'll see which one can step up. Are we going to have a winning streak coming in? As five-man roster on stage, Diamond the Speed Ace. He has been turning a lot of heads with his performance in ace matches throughout all of the prelims. Going to see if he can ride that momentum here against NUTMITE, who's going to be entering the stage in a moment. And I got to say, NUTMITE, we were talking about this before we went live on the broadcast. It sounds like a spread for a sandwich.
Yeah, it does have that sound going on. But NUTMITE, now, of course, this is kind of a brand and logo that some of the players have used in one of the other leagues for Kart Rider previously, but now they're bringing over the brand to the KDL, the Kart Rider Drift League, and with some familiar faces and some newer faces as well. So I think that's the big story here is, kind of a mixed roster here for NUTMITE. Meanwhile, Always, it's pretty much all rookies entering their first professional league here in the KDL.
Yeah, NUTMITE, despite being an amateur team, a little bit more on the veteran side of things than their opponents here, but coming in through the prelims, Always really had their number. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, NUTMITE's only loss in the preliminaries qualifying into this season was against this rookie team, Always, and it came down to the ace match. Diamond was able to step up then. He was also able to beat Ding in another one of the ace matches, so he has just been absolutely killer and coming in clutch for this rookie team on screen right now. As they say, a flawless victory streak from the prelims to the main stage. Diamond shines in the main event as well, and Diamond absolutely has been shining, man. That's like a 20, 30 carat diamond. I don't know carats. I actually don't know jewelry. Is that a small amount? Is that a big amount?
That sounds like a very high amount.
That's a British royalty diamond right there.
Yeah, there you go. But here's the thing. I mean, he was able to be the centerpiece that carried them to victory against Mira and Sejong as well, right, in Week 1, which is, kind of a new favorite that a lot of people are looking at just because of the legacy that individual players have there. And of course, we just saw it in the graphic there, but Move, who's sitting in the middle of the roster here for Always, is actually brothers with Wave, who will meet here on the other side on NUTMITE. So we have a little bit of sibling rivalry for the first time here in the KDL.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. You got to know that their parents are at home watching right now, deciding which victor is going to be the favorite child from here on out.
Oh, man. Yeah, who do we support further in their professional Kart Rider Drift career?
Parents are like, okay, you know what, Wave, you won. Move, you got to stop playing, man. Look, your brother is better. Go back to your studies.
I'm just
playing around.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I mean, sometimes that happens, right? I mean, I'm sure some of our viewers out there, maybe you've had experience with that as well. But, since the younger brother won last time, it's the older brother's turn now. So Wave is 2 years older here on the side of NUTMITE. Of course, his younger brother served them a defeat during the preliminaries, but now looking for that brotherhood revenge here in the regular season.
Yeah, the only defeat that NUTMITE suffered in the preliminaries was to this undefeated Always team, a squad of rookies that entering KDL regular season, a lot of people are looking at them kind of in the same way as Desperado, although they're even more amateur. It's like, man, these kids, they really can race. Diamond has been clutch in the ace matches. Let's see what he can do in team speed.
Yep, and Always is going to be taking that first track, and they're taking us right to WKC Mexico Touring Rally. We got a couple looks at that during Week 1. A very exciting track, quite frankly, just because of the lines you have to take and the decisions, the choices you have to make around some of those turns. And then we go right to, very familiar territory in Extreme Stadium, winding slopes, all the way down to Brazil Circuit and Construction Chaos.
Yeah, really fun track list here for speed mode. I really hope we go all the way down to round number 5 because Construction Chaos, one of my favorite matches to watch, especially between amateur teams, because it can feel really technical coming into those turns, especially with the body fighting here, the new patch, where your your boost gauge does not diminish, but we'll see if we get there here as we're getting ready to start off track number 1 on WKC Mexico Touring Rally.
Starting off this team match here in Mexico, as we see Always and NUTMITE in the speed mode race between the two teams.
Yeah, Will and Vega off to a great start here for Team NUTMITE, but ALS, Team Always, hot on their tail in a 3v2 situation, so I would not be surprised to see the lead get surrendered here. It's actually Diamond man, taking some really good lines, even body checking Vega there. He is an aggressive racer.
Yeah, and just really good control over his own speed as well to make sure that he doesn't shoot too far ahead, to make sure that they can have teamwork in the play. Now, this is a single lapper, but that does mean it's going to be quite a long way all the way to the finish line as we see NUTMITE continue to try to get ahead. Vega and Will, that double team, they're holding on to the lead.
Here in this long straightaway with a couple of jumps, Diamond's probably just biding his time, waiting for the moment where he can try and pass and draft his way into first place. But in a 1v3 situation here against NUTMITE, he's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing Diamond can do right now is keep Skald in check so that Min can come up and really help contest, because the only win condition I'm seeing right now on the leaderboards is going to be a 1-2 if Always can make it happen.
Yeah, 1-2 is probably the only way they can actually win this one. I absolutely agree with you, as there isn't too much track left to be played. Diamond, he is able to work his way for a moment up into first place, but again, a 2v1 situation like this one with the body checks coming in. Yeah, I mean, Diamond, he's kind of going for the Hail Mary there. He's trying to take that corner as tight as possible. It does not pay off, but it was really the only win condition there for Always, was for him to try and make some insane play. It doesn't manifest, and instead, NUTMITE with a really convincing win. They get the first place, and they round out 3, 4, 5.
And here's the thing, you look at the rankings, Move was eventually able to get all the way up to second place. So if Diamond had actually succeeded in not bumping into the corner and taking the inner line, jumping over perhaps Move and forcing the pressure, there was a chance. So the idea was, okay, we really don't have other options, and now it's now or never. Go for the 1-2. If Diamond had made it happen, maybe there's a shot. So I don't think you can blame him. But at the end of the day, he is bumped out to the outer part of the track, and NUTMITE will have a smooth sail across the finish line.
Yeah, good start here for Team NUTMITE, but I really like what we saw from Always there, just recognizing the situation and absolutely sending it. If you're in a position like that one where you have literally no other win condition, there's no reason not to try a crazy play like that one. Diamond showing some really good smarts, although did not pay off there in track number 1. Those are the kind of plays that they are going to add up over the course of a regular season, maybe even a best of 5 like this.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see if they're able to regain their composure as we go right into our second track of speed mode. It's going to be familiar territory going on to Glacier Extreme Stadium.
Team NUTMITE with a 1-0 lead here in the best of 5 speed round against Team Always as we enter the classic track, Glacier Extreme Stadium. ALS off to a great start. Mingyu actually with a really sizable lead right from the get-go.
Yeah, we'll see if he's able to keep that. I mean, with this much of a lead, you want to just hold on to first place, right? You just have to trust that your teammates are able to do something, and then worst case, go for a Hail Mary stop near the end. And this is a track where that can make something happen because you have those hairpins and the jump towards the very last part of the track.
We've seen some real upheaval there on the hairpins, but Mingyu actually seems like he got caught for some reason on that wall, maybe a collision with Will or with Skald, and so he's going to fall a little bit down to the 5th rank, and Diamond's going to have to try to play a little bit of a sweeping role here as he takes these tight inner lines. He wants to try and buy time, but Wave is doing a great job of zoning him out.
Yeah, Wave doing everything he can to make sure his older brother's team cannot, continue, or his younger brother rather, cannot continue that victory, trying to make sure. I mean, Wave is in the midst of the enemies, behind enemy lines, so to speak, and just causing chaos and making sure that Skald and Will are so far ahead.
Yeah, those are some big collisions hitting Diamond, who is arguably the best speed racer on this team Always. So for Wave to come through with this sweeping roll and just really give Will and Skald all of the breathing room in the world, it's paying dividends right now for Team NUTMITE, who is in a commanding position on lap number 2.
Yeah, Move, of course, fighting against his brother. He's able to still try to be in contention in the top ranks, but no one else from his team is here to support. So Move, I mean, maybe there's a moral victory here to be ahead of your brother and maybe even try to break apart the 1-2, but it's not looking like there's a victory condition here for Always. Okay, he tried. I'll give him credit, but it's not going to be enough.
No, coming down this final straightaway, Move goes for a big body plug there on Wave, but I think that's just sibling rivalry as the 1-2 was sealed for NUTMITE. And a little bit of spice there from Team Always, but NUTMITE, why am I having such a hard time saying this? NUTMITE going up into a 2-0 lead here in speed, looking very solid, both on track number 1 and track number 2.
Yeah, I mean, now we have to mention that Always, in the week 1 match against Mira and Sejong as well, they lost 3-0 in the speed mode, but they were bringing it back in item mode, eventually won the ace match with Diamond. So we'll see. I mean, maybe they're just saying, okay, you know what, let's just reset, focus on item mode. But it's not over yet. I mean, we've had some crazier stories before in the preseason for KDL so far already as well. And NUTMITE, we talked about this, you guys talked about this in week 1, but they're known for their full tracks, right, in any of their matches. So see if that continues here in week 2.
Winning slopes could be track number 3 as the players are getting ready to load into the game. NUTMITE on match point right now in a very quick speed mode, already up 2-0 in a pretty commanding fashion. Both on track number 1 and track number 2, they were in control all the way through. It felt the final laps, as always, has been trying to make some Hail Mary plays to come back, but nothing able to actually come to fruition just yet. Let's see if they can change their luck as we enter track number 3. Match point here between Team Always and Team NUTMITE.
Kicking things off on Winding Slopes, always they need to win this track to make sure we can continue in speed mode. And it is interesting to note that always they're trying to continue to contest on these very difficult tracks. So I think that tells us that individually they're very confident in their own mechanics, but can they make it happen in a team scenario?
It's hard when you're coming together as a new band. I mean, they've probably only had a couple of weeks leading up into this regular season to really start to build that kind of synergy as a team, but mechanically, individually, as you said, they absolutely seem to be capable. Diamond especially has some real skills on the racetrack. I mean, like, it's almost like he plays time trial mode when he doesn't have these players around him, and the lines are just superb. You saw him just move up the ranks so quickly. They're almost passing Wave for position 1.
Yeah, Mingyu, another bit of a slight bump into the wall. That would almost led into a stop as well, but not quite to fruition. Diamond still contesting it. It's giving a chance for Mingyu to try to catch up. So there is a shot here, but once again, it's looking like it's going to have to be a 1-2 finish here for Always if they want to keep us in the speed mode.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if Diamond's going to try and come through.
Oh,
no.
I mean, once again, just trying to have to greed here. Wow, Will, what a stop there right in the middle. Just bumps Mingyu out of the track, puts him way back into 6th place. It's going to be an easy 1-2 here for NUTMITE as we have a quick 3-0 for NUTMITE in speed mode against Always.
Yeah, Will with that flashy sweeping just kind of added insult to injury here on track number 3. As I gotta say, that was a pretty dominating speed mode coming out of Team NUTMITE. None of those tracks were particularly close. I love the victory animation. They look like they're Power Rangers or something, ready to
yeah, no, they're doing that pose. But the thing is they're also like keeping ice cold facial expressions.
Yeah.
Like they're not smiling, probably because they were told that you have to stay still because this is going to be a video on the big screen. They're like, okay, well, everyone make sure you're staying still, don't blink. It's just your arms moving. It's pretty funny. But it is going to be shown up on the big LED as we see NUTMITE take the 3-0 in speed mode. And now we'll have to wait and see if the coin flips when we go to item mode.
NUTMITE, it's also worth noting that coming into this map selection, they won the coin toss, which means they got to choose a speed or item priority. They picked item priority. So coming into item, they're going to have the draft lead with a track list, and they've got to be feeling really confident after winning speed mode 3-0 on what is primarily Always map picks.
Yeah, and now this is similar to how things panned out during the preliminaries as well, right? I mean, NUTMITE, they were able to win the 3-0 in speed mode, and eventually it went down to the wire 3-2 in item mode. So it was close. So I think with the item priority, hoping that they can close things out before it goes to that track 5. It is cute that their own little fan signs that they brought, you know, it says we're gonna blow up our opponents once again. Obviously, NUTMITE, a play on Dynamite. But I guess you get popcorn if you blow up peanuts? Well, no. I mean, that doesn't even make sense. I don't know why I thought that made sense in my head.
Peanuts?
But as soon as I drew
peanuts in the microwave against some popcorn.
You know what's really funny? When I played that image in reverse, it made sense in my head. But as I spoke it out loud, I was like, no, that doesn't make it at all. If anything, we'd get really distorted peanut butter. But
I like the idea, though, man. I want some peanut butter flavor and popcorn. You know, in Korea, we have a lot of, you know, they're all about the flavored popcorn, even more so than the United States.
Yes.
In Korea, when you go to the cinema. But I've never actually seen a peanut butter flavored. You know, the more that I think about it, you get the crunch from the popcorn kernels.
There you
and
go.
you get the peanut butter. That could be pretty tasty,
Yeah.
man. I'm on board with you. I like this.
Okay, yeah. And thanks for covering for me. I really
No, it's
appreciate
good.
it.
It's good.
All right. Well, we're getting ready for item mode, and with that draft, we did see that NUTMITE that we're going to take us to Glacier Half Pipe to begin. And then if we go to track 4, we're even going to get to take another look at World Tour San Francisco Seaplane Base, but we'll have to wait and see if that happens as we kick things off on track 1 on Polar Half Pipe.
And we begin item mode, best of 5 here between NUTMITE and Team Always on Polar Half Pipe. This is a 2-star track, so we will not be seeing any of those new items come into play right here. In fact, if we want to wait to see those, we're going to have to hope that this item mode round goes all the way to round 4 and round number 5, as we have 2 3-star tracks to close things out. But up until then, a little bit more classic item mode for you.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like both teams, probably trying to stick to what they had been practicing before. I mean, sure, there's still the meta adjustment with the upgraded cart bodies, with the higher top speed and acceleration and things like that. But at the end of the day, you're still working with the same set of items at the very least. So we'll see what both teams have cooked up. As we do see Will, he's able to keep a pretty hefty lead, but he's slowing things down to make sure he can pick up the items. He's going to just make sure the attacks are, in some fashion, wasted on him as we enter lap 2.
Yeah, I mean, he had no shields at his disposal, so if you're sitting right there pretty in first place, almost no matter what, you're going to get aggroed down and you will be slowed. So instead, just, slowing up his role, trying to double up on the items instead and play that more defensive role, just as you said, absorb some damage for the team.
Yeah, right now we do see. Okay, a Guardian Angel still being held on by Skald, and everyone on both sides, I mean, we can see all the items, but I think they have a feel for it as well, just because of the number of items that are being thrown out. Okay, not too many attacks coming out. We can try to hold on to that Guardian Angel. This is one of those times where we can look for a timing here going into lap 3.
Yeah, with a lot of players actually holding on to a Nitrous, it seems like we will have a pretty significant number of racers who, should they decide to really hold on to that through the majority of lap number 3, they're going to get to the shortcut, right? They're going to go up onto that top side half pipe. They're going to get some speed boost. They're going to have a shorter track to work with, and it's going to come down to that. I think we had one player go off the track there for a moment.
All right, yeah, we'll have to wait and see what's coming of that. But meanwhile, we do have Diamond with the Magnet and Boost. So we'll have to wait and see how that's going to be used. It does look like it's just thrown out right away. We're going to have to wait to see what's going on here with one of our racers. But meanwhile, Wave's still in first place, seeing if he can just maintain that because the race is continuing for the time being. The UFO comes in just in time, and Knight, he's going to be able to keep up the speed just enough to cross the finish line.
And yeah, considering that Always had a team member that disconnected on that, but they were still able to deliver the win, I wouldn't be surprised if this record actually stood. And they were up 1-0 here. We're going to have to wait and see what the admin decision will be coming through, as you can also see the players all kind of looking to their left to the main stage to try and hear. They're applauding, so I think that one's actually going to connect.
Yeah, all right, there we go. I mean, it looks like, maybe this was a scenario. I mean, obviously, you're going to have all sorts of scenarios listed out in the rule book, but at the end of the day, the decision is, okay, the race was good. It will continue, and it's going to be Always that is able to finish up. And you could tell that, despite something happening during the race, you did have all the members of Always still looking for that win condition. They said, okay, let's first of all finish the race, because you don't know. You don't know for sure how that's going to pan out. You don't want to risk everything by just putting up your hands. They'll get that first win, try to claw us back into another ace match.
Yeah, pretty an impressive one, too, considering that Node had that disconnect. That's probably, 2, 3, maybe even 4 different items that they were not able to utilize in that final lap, because Node in the rear could have been bringing out Angel Shields. He could have been maybe popping a UFO to try to attack the lead racer for Team NUTMITE. So Team Always, despite being down a man the third lap, come through with a victory, and starting to get a little bit of recollection of the way those preliminaries went, with NUTMITE dominating in speed mode and then ALS able to bring it back an item.
Yeah, we'll see if it continues in the same fashion, or maybe even smoother in item mode for Always, because it was a close 3-2 during the preliminaries. Now, of course, we do have the admins on stage, just making sure that no further errors are happening here on the side of Always. It does look like it was a bit of a tech difficulty, so we'll have to wait to find out what happens there. I know this was the very beginning. We're just taking a look at a couple of these highlights. Some good water balloons that came out as well. And towards the end, the UFO just lines up against Wave. And meanwhile, Knight, he's able to actually use that EMP to dispel the Magnet, make sure he maintains that top speed to cross the finish line in time.
Yeah, one of those relatively rare moments where the EMP actually comes in clutch there for the top players.
Super clutch.
You know, oftentimes when we're racing and we see people picking up EMP after EMP if they're in the front, it's just like, oh no, this is not the way you want it to go. But when you get to that final finish line, when you get to the third lap and you're closing in on the end of the track, EMP can be so good to disable that UFO or to disable the magnet coming in and stealing all of your momentum. And so always was able to get a victory there. We do have a short tech pause right now, as it seems like it was actually a PC issue coming in for one of the Team Always players. I think it's Node, who right now is just getting a little bit of tech support on stage.
Yeah, we'll have to just wait to see what the result is there. And it does look like that's Snoopy's father there, or maybe part, you know, with the family here. It was, at least the sign said Snoopy, you know, fighting, your father is watching. So we'll have to wait to see if maybe we can get some confirmation, but I could see maybe some familiarity. So we'll have to believe that it is family out in the audience, and that's pretty common actually here for the KDL. We've had family, you know, relatives, old friends, you know, old school friends, things like that coming out to cheer on whoever they have up on stage racing in the KDL.
And it's one of the bonuses, too, of living in a super city like Seoul with a metropolitan area population of, what, like 25 million plus or something crazy, is if you have family, if you're from Seoul and you have family, a lot of your family is going to be in Seoul. And, you know, the studio, the public transport system here, it is absolutely beautiful. It is so convenient. From pretty much all across the city, it's about an hour. Like, I have to come across town. It's an hour for me to get here down at the studio. So some family showing up, supporting their players, supporting, you know, nephews, supporting their sons right here on stage. It's always good to have that morale boost of knowing that your family is right there rooting for you. Win or lose, they want to see you go home happy.
Yeah, and, you know, again, just to have them hear and really see what's going on in person. You know, it's very different than just seeing it on broadcast. I mean, it's a very different feel. You get to feel the energy of the fans and the players. You can see, I think you can get a better grasp of, okay, what does this entail? What kind of work are my friends or my, you know, children putting in to become these pro players? And also, how are the fans viewing them? Because when you watch the broadcast, I mean, you'll hear some of the cheering and you'll hear the casters talk about them, but you don't really get a grasp of, okay, like, people really like you. Like, you know, you can't really put a number to that. But once you come in and you see all these fans that are like waiting for the match to start, they're making their own signs right outside, and then they're cheering for you loud and clear. Then you get a feel for, okay, like, this is clearly the effort is paying off, you know, if this is your passion. I mean, it's not an easy road by any means, as it is for any department if you want to become the top, but it is impressive to see from especially a lot of these younger players like we see on Always.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. For an amateur team coming in, it means a lot to be able to make it here onto the big stage. You can kind of see the pressure a little bit when we get a look at their heart rate monitors. Some of these rookies that enter the stage, you know, they go up about 180, 190. They're nervous. They know that they have a lot on the line. They want to have a successful career here in Kart Rider. They want to fulfill what is probably a childhood dream for most of them to really become an esports pro. I think most people who are really into gaming, I'm sure a lot of viewers that we have at home, you always dream about just being able to somehow get to that stage where you can compete with the best of the best and potentially, you know, pave the path to the championship. And
well, I think the difference is between, you know, some people like you or me is that you, especially with a competitive background, you can dream about it. But people like me, we daydream about potentially playing on stage one of these days because we know it's not actually going to ever happen at our skill level.
For a lot of these kids, I mean, we have players that are competing here. This is a very young esport Kart Rider drift. A lot of the players that are competing on stage, we look at their player bios before every day when we come in. Every time we have new rookies coming in, we kind of get their bios. And we have players that are born after, like, what, 2004, 2005, even younger than that. We actually had an interview done with one of the players coming into this one, and they're like, what happened to you during the preseason? It's like, well, I actually just got my driver's license. Like, you've been racing in KDL, you're racing in KDL, you're racing these karts as your career, trying to make something happen, and you just got your driver's license. You know, it's like coming of age.
Did we make sure that he knows that he doesn't get a boost if he drifts in real life? Because if he's trying to, like, instant boost across the freeway, that's probably not a good look.
Hey, you get first place here in KDL, you split 100 million Korean won with your teammates, you take your little cut of that. Maybe you get 20 million, 25 million if you're there on the freaks.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Maybe you could actually, you know, you get like a little moped or something as a starter vehicle out here. Maybe you could get some nitrous set up, you know? You never know. You never know. Maybe some real street racing these guys are able to do. I mean, I'm not necessarily condoning that, but
no.
You want to do some Kart Rider drift on the streets of Seoul. It is possible. But just definitely not a rush hour because you will not be going faster than like 30 kilometers an hour.
Definitely not. So much traffic here on the streets of Seoul. In fact, yesterday I had to come from a little bit west outside of Seoul all the way to the eastern part of Seoul for a little bit of a picnic with some friends. It took us, what, maybe like 2 hours to crawl across the expressway. I mean, it was the start of the weekend. It's rush hour. It was kind of the worst of all combinations. But hey, that brings us back to the subway system is very good. And for anyone planning to visit Seoul, in fact, they actually just like revamped the design of the subway map. I don't know if you were aware of this.
No, I actually did not notice.
Yeah, they haven't installed it in all the places yet, but for anyone who's been to Seoul before, it used to be a little convoluted because they tried to make it all like rectangular and all these sharp angles, and it's like, well, is this really what Seoul looks like? It's not.
It's not.
They made it a lot more kind of rounded and realistic in terms of the pathing of the subway tracks.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
so hopefully that helps.
I'll have to keep a lookout for that when I'm on the train ride home. And guys, it looks like the tech pause finally over. We are ready to go. Nodes PC is ready to rumble as we're going to continue on here in item mode on the map World Tour London Night.
The race begins, and in case you've forgotten, yes, we did have a race on our hands while we were talking about the Seoul subway system. Always currently leading 1-0 in item mode, but NUTMITE did win the speed mode, so this is now a contention for a smash between Always and NUTMITE.
And during the preliminaries, Always was able to just barely edge out NUTMITE with a 3-2 victory in item mode, force an ace match that Diamond was able to win, I believe, over Will, if I'm not mistaken. So Always trying to repeat that performance from the preliminaries here, and off to a good start with a 1-0 track win. Knight does get UFO'd right there, but overall, ALS taking good tempo here to match with NUTMITE.
Yeah, I mean, they're able to just make sure that they're in contention, trying to just vie for tempo, make sure that items are being cycled on both sides so that no one can just sit on a really good timing combo going towards the third lap.
Yeah, some more water balloons coming in, none of them actually connecting just yet, as they're a little bit tricky. But one of the changes in the patch, by the way, that I absolutely love is when you're playing in-game, you can actually see on the mini-map where the water balloon is going to connect if you throw it, which is a really nice quality of life thing. It's going to make it a lot easier for noobs like us to actually set up those combinations if you're playing on, you know, some of the more dangerous lava maps where there's these bridges that you cannot dodge a balloon on should you throw it at the right timing. Now, you know, you as a casual fan at home, you can kind of play like one of these pros and line it up.
There you go. Try to get a nice, you know, 3-man, 4-man even landing on the water balloon.
Would love it.
But right now, Skald with double shields, not going to protect him against that UFO. The Guardian Angel is used just to try to cycle for some tempo, as we see a lot of nitrous boost on both sides. Now, neither team entirely aware of the arsenal of their opponents, but both teams have aces holding on to the Magnet Boost combo. Will it come into play as we enter the last part of the track?
Really big water balloon gets the lead racer there from ALS, and now Will has a massive lead. Luckily, the Magnet actually slowing him down, and Node, oh my goodness, is he gonna be able to win this? It's a 1v1 for the finish line, but Wave with the boost, just barely. The boost plus the slightly better line is going to be getting a win here for Team NUTMITE, and that one came all the way down in the wire. You can see kind of a sigh of relief from the bench, as that was a really scary situation. Wave had Node and Knight right behind them, and that short little boost was just enough momentum to carry home the win. All tied up now 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, I think Node didn't want to drift too hard on that last corner, just try to maintain top speed, and Wave says, I'll take that risk, but I'll use an instant boost, and he's able to barely overtake him in the last second, even half a second of that track.
It was like 0.03 of a second, I think, that actually separated first from second. That's
incredible play, and also kind of the reset coming in from NUTMITE. I think it might have been Will, right, who's able to reset off the Magnet, make sure that he's not giving an extra boost to his opponents, and just stop that acceleration, really shut down any sort of hope coming in from Always.
Oh, that's a really good point, actually. I hadn't even considered that. As we're going to get ready to go to the next track here. It's going to be Forest Misty Falls, all tied up 1-1 here in item mode between Team Always and Team NUTMITE. Always looking to try and get another map win here to get closer and closer to forcing that ace match here against Team NUTMITE. Move off to a really good start. Water balloon just going to get thrown out here by Diamond, who was hoping to cycle through, but only able to pick up one item. There it is in Nitrous, and Skald actually barely making the shortcut.
Yeah, he almost missed it, and that was going to be slightly embarrassing. But he'll be able to land right back on his wheels. Wave continue to keep that lead, Shield and Guardian Angel in tow, and he'll happily cycle through those when needed. And really good use of those instant boosts once again we're seeing. I mean, he's just using that to continue to stay ahead in tempo.
I mean, we've seen so many item mode maps, not just here in the regular season, but also in the preseason and the old meta, get decided by a fraction of a second. So anytime you can get those short boosts, just to make your cart go a little tiny bit faster, that can make a difference by the end of the track.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where, you know, we don't talk about lines and builds too often in item mode, but that's where you can try to make sure you have an advantage, you know, in the line you're taking as well, right? Maybe you take a sharp drift and it loses some speed, but you instant boost, regain it back, and Diamond does fall off for a brief second, but he still gets to keep his footing on that shortcut.
It can be a little bit tricky there on the shortcut. Note able to take it. Will took the long way around, but is going to be able to pass up into first place regardless. Pops a shield to deflect that incoming attack, and actually still has a Nitrous in the bag. So Will with a lot of, you know, tempo potential. Should he be able to cycle out this EMP and get some defensive items?
Yeah, I mean, you even have your teammates right behind you as well, Snoopy and Wave, so quite frankly, Will, I mean, you know, maybe use it for tempo, maybe you're able to just keep it as a guarantee at the very end. You have so many options. Now Diamond trying to break apart the power play coming in from NUTMITE, but Wave coming in to block him once again.
Yeah, nice attempt there with the water balloon, but NUTMITE had a very good read on it. They were able to play on the side, so no big connections, just there's a lot of attacks coming in from Team NUTMITE here on the flank. As move gets slowed down, and Will, he's still holding on to that EMP in the shield, and his lead is pretty significant.
Yeah, here's the thing. All these attacks that NUTMITE threw out kept always so far behind that they cannot target Will. The only thing that could have slowed him down would have been a UFO early on, and he still has that EMP. Now the Magnet comes in, but he's so close. The barricade, he doesn't hit it head on. He'll just bounce right off to the side, cross the finish line, and NUTMITE now leading 2-1 in item mode, one track away from securing a team match victory.
I think if that water balloon was able to connect with Will, it might have been an ALS victory, but instead, Team NUTMITE just one track win away from sealing the deal. They struggled against ALS in the preliminaries in item mode, losing 3-2, but looking very solid here in the regular season, definitely stepping it up.
We'll see. You know, I mean, it's still only at that 2, right? It could still be a 3-2 repeat of that nightmare.
And we're going to 3-star maps to close this one out as well. So there is some potential for a little bit of a shakeup as those 3 new items are going to enter play.
Yeah, for those who weren't quite aware, maybe you've stepped away for a little bit, maybe it's your first time trying to get into Kartrider Drift. We have 3 new items that are coming in here in Kartrider Drift. We'll explain those as we go through the track, because right now we are getting ready for track 4. It will be bringing us to World Tour San Francisco Seaplane Base. And we're off, and we should note, not only is this a 3-star track, but it's actually one of the longest tracks we have in item mode as well. So this one's gonna turn into a bit of a marathon as we see tempo plays continue on back and forth.
Yeah, and you gotta think that as a result of this, it's gonna play very different than the track compared to, like, you know, maybe World Tour London Night, where it's all about the finish. Here, I think it's gonna be all about the tempo. So it's gonna be attacks coming in, those sirens potentially, you know, sweeping against your opponents and making them spin out could come really in clutch, as well as these Thunderbolts. You see Diamond right now actually holding on to a Lightning, is waiting for the right moment. I would not be surprised if he just used that here in lap number 1. It didn't save it to the end because tempo is so key.
Yeah, we do see a lot of sirens coming out. There it is from Knight as well, just trying to make sure he causes disruption, make sure that opponents cannot pass them. Ooh, no, and he greeted for the item, but he gets bumped back by the propeller. You got to watch out. We have those obstacles here as well. There's 2 shortcuts we see. The second one here on the right side. Now this one, not as crazy, but we will see. Oh, wow. What an attack.
Yeah, that water balloon got a pretty significant number of players right there as Team ALS consolidating a little bit here in the front for a moment, was holding on to the 1, 2, and 3 spots. In fact, they do again with Knight not too far behind. So certainly tempo-wise, Team Always in the lead.
Yeah, you do have a little bit of defense, a little bit of team attack in that lightning bolt as well on Diamond. So always has a decent arsenal. Now we'll see Snoopy with that Siren. Not going to find much use for it just yet, but if he can catch up, or if his oh no, Will actually going to get bumped back from Snoopy as he has to use the Siren to make sure he deflects some of the opponents coming up from behind.
Now Team Always still holding on to some very key items. That Thunderbolt was not used early on. It seems like Diamond is waiting for the critical moment to do maximum damage. He doesn't want to use it too early and give up tempo. Is right now Wave, Snoopy, and Will, all for Team NUTMITE, leading the charge right now. So ALS is going to have to start thinking of a game plan to try and hold on to this one.
Yeah, I mean, NUTMITE, just the team play coming in with it. So there's that huge banana. It's the big banana coming out. And Diamond actually going to get shoved off the shortcut. He actually has to take the long way around this time around. So Knight, now the only one, he gets denied an item as well from Will. This is not the way you want to start the last lap here on Seaplane Base.
Yeah, but luckily, as you said, this is one of the longer tracks that we have in item mode, if not the longest. So some pretty significant time for him to start to kind of gain ground again. Keep in mind, ALS Diamond, he is still holding on to that lightning, and you know, on paper it looks good, but the Angel Shields here for Team NUTMITE have me very concerned.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of defense. Now you can see NUTMITE, their goal is to just cause disruption, right? Even if Snoopy does get bumped all the way back, as long as they're able to keep Will in the lead and he's not affected by one of the lightning bolts. You still have another one, but we still have another shield on Will. Is that lightning bolt going to be enough? It just gets used, and there's another Guardian Angel, still another shield, double shield in the bank. Will just use everything right away to make sure he is not affected. The rocket does spin him out, and then the lightning bolt, it's just going to be an entire chain as Move. The UFO will slow him down, but Node right behind him should be able to keep the lead. Oh, the boost from Skald!
Skald had a nitrous, but he got hit by the water wisp. Oh my goodness. That was just like, it just kept going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth to close this one out. And ALS with one of the most clutch water wisps of all time. If that attack does not hit at that timing, we're going to NUTMITE just winning in speed, winning in item, but ALS somehow stays alive. And that water wisp, I want to go back into a replay. I really hope that we get to see it. I'm wondering if they had that in the bank and it was saved, or if they picked it up with the last item box. Because I think it might have been that last box.
I think so.
And like, what a clutch drop. Because, you know, even if you spin him out with a rocket, he might still have enough momentum to actually win.
He was so far
ahead. You need the water wisp.
Yeah, he was so far ahead with that boost. I mean, that's why I was kind of just thinking in my head, it's over. I was just waiting for him to cross the finish line. But then the water wisp comes in from right outside the screen, and he's lifted up into the air. Without a shield, nothing you can do about that. You can try to get out of it early enough, but you lose your entire speed. But no, we're going to have to go right on to the next track as we try to get to the end of this team match. It's going to be track 5, Factory Cogwheel Crush.
Team Always fighting back to force a track number 5 here in item mode. If they win, we are going to an ace match between Always and NUTMITE. If NUTMITE is victorious, they're going to solidify the 2-0 win both in speed and item.
Oh man, NUTMITE, you gotta be imagining that they're thinking about the preliminary match once again. The 3-2 looming over their head. Currently tied 2-2 as Diamond just trying to keep some tempo. We'll eat up some attacks, but Move is there to cover him right away.
I mean, Always was the only team to be able to defeat NUTMITE in the preliminaries. Besides that, NUTMITE went undefeated, but Always did as well. You know, they won that head-to-head battle. They didn't lose a single set to any other team. So these two amateur teams, although they're pretty new here in the KDL coming in, we didn't see them in the preseasons. Already a bit of a rivalry forming, and it's really coming down to the wire here in item mode.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Knight and Snoopy just in time for the shortcut to open up. And, you know, we should mention once again, the Sirens, they're only here on the 3-star tracks, but it just so happens that 3-star tracks, they're more difficult, which means a lot more narrow pathways as well. So you see a lot of players actually using the Siren more for defense than rather attacking.
Yeah, occasionally you'll see a player, if they're just kind of clustered around a lot of opponents, pop that Siren to get 1 or 2 spin outs, which absolutely is worth it. But as you see, Wave, he's just waiting for the right moment. And maybe with that Nitrous, Nitrous do a little tiny boost. pop that siren, spin out one of these players on ALS. It is all about tempo here as we enter the final lap.
Yeah, and earlier we did see Node use the scanner, so he should have gotten sight of at least one, maybe two of the magnets here on the side of NUTMITE. So you have a little bit of an idea that there's a timing play. The magnet can come into real good use as you have the over-under shortcut at the very last part of this track.
And look at how many players right now are set up both with a nitrous and with a magnet. There's going to be some big combination plays coming through that final section of this track, and although on paper it looks like NUTMITE is in a very good position, oh, this is going to open up. Oh, no, gets blocked!
No.
That might just be it!
Denied as we see the entire team of NUTMITE ahead. The magnet resets, so the speed advantage not going over to Team Always. And what a way to wrap things up. NUTMITE will close it out 3-2 in item mode. They win both speed and item, bringing them their first team match victory.
What a sick brake check there right before it. There was, you know, a fraction of a second where if Team Always, I think it was Node, if he's able to get into that shortcut, he has the items to potentially make a play for the finish line, but NUTMITE recognizing that the window is closing and they can body block him right there. You see the handshakes as they are very happy with that performance. They're going to redeem themselves with a preliminary defeat to Team Always, and now here in the regular season where it matters most, they're picking up the win, not just in speed, but also in item.
Yeah, good revenge coming in for NUTMITE, and also it's going to be their first victory overall here in team matches as we, you know, start off week 2. So still early on in the regular season, but like you mentioned, Estate, it's where it matters, and Always will finally be defeated, and stops their winning streak all the way from the preliminaries. They're going to have to reset, reconsider how they continue here in the regular season.
Yeah, and you know, for a wave on Team NUTMITE getting revenge on his brother. For Team Always, a bit of sibling rivalry here. So they finally decide who comes out on top here in the regular season. 3-0 in speed for NUTMITE, 3-2 in item. I gotta say, it went all the way down to the wire. I'm thinking about track 4 with that water risk coming in. I'm thinking about track 5 with a body block right before the shortcut. Every single track, not just the set score, every single track was so close. It was a thrilling match, and you know, although these are two amateur teams, certainly in item mode, it felt like we were watching pro teams. They absolutely have what it takes to compete with the best, and I'm really curious about how they are going to develop over the course of this regular season.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of push and pull between these two, and you know, a lot of people talk about, okay, well, you have Guangdong and Live Sandbox, they're kind of shoe-ins for the postseason.
Right.
And then you have Mira and Sejong, and then Sungnam Rocks, who are, you know, they're considered to be pretty strong. Maybe some people favor Mira and Sejong just because of individual history, but those are still teams that the amateur teams look at and say, well, we could probably take on those two pro teams. So, I mean, NUTMITE and Always, two teams to still keep an eye on as we continue the regular season. Now this brings NUTMITE all the way up with a little bit of a round differential advantage up into 5th place, you know, tying themselves right alongside Always.
Yeah, and really a quite even start here. We only have KWANGDONGFREECS as the undefeated team. And what, this is the day 3 of the KDL regular season, so that kind of goes to show how competitive the field is right now. And Desperado, with that victory plus 2 round differential, they're right on the heels of Sungnam Rocks, who I believe will be playing on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm interested in seeing how these standings start to shake up, because it looks like we're in for a very close season.
Yeah, I mean, especially that middle pack, right? Who crosses the finish line, barely makes it into that postseason. I think it's going to be up for grabs down to the wire, you know, as we get prepped for that potential wild card match as well. We have some of those, you know, extra steps here in both team matches and solo matches here in the regular season of KDL. So it should prove to be very interesting. I mean, also, you know, we keep talking about it, but the changes to the game itself has provided a lot more, I guess, dramatic finishes, especially in item mode.
Oh yeah, item mode is so much more fun now. I absolutely love it. The speed that the heroic tier brought to this game, not just in speed mode, but also in item mode, you feel it so much. This game just keeps getting better and better. I'm really happy with this. It's a great way to start off this season of KDL.
Yeah, and this is what, you know, Kartrider used to be known for, is even in item mode, that top speed being very exhilarating. So finally kind of getting back into stride there as we continue adding small step by step into the game. It's been very exciting to watch how pros adjust to it. Now, of course, we're not done with the broadcast just yet. We will be waiting to go to a short break in a little bit. But after that, we have the solo matches returning here for week 2.
Yeah, solo matches. It's a weekend. So, guys, we're going to go to a short break. But before then, look at that hero, SUNGBIN, Navi, BBoong, Chelly, SPEC, Acidfly, and Skald. It's a stacked group. You do not want to miss it. We'll be back in a minute.
I'm ready to do it, I can't be afraid now. Put me on the stage now, I'm ready to rage now. I feel like an animal stuck in a cage and I'm ready to break out. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. This time, like the last time, you better get ready to race to the top. I'm ready to do this, show you what the truth is. I step on the field, it's time to get real, I'm feeling so ruthless. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Yeah. So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made of. Get in the game, your moment of fame, show them what you made of. It's time that we stand up, it's time that we man up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up. My time, nothing can keep me from reaching the top. This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride. I'm ready to throw down, it's time for the showdown. I'm ready to rise, don't be surprised, I'll take on the world now. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. My town, my crown, we know what it takes to be reaching the top. We reaching the top, we reaching the top. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. My town, my crown, we know what it takes to be reaching the top. We reaching the top, we reaching the top. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up, I'm never going back down. Hand over my heart, I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop.